Hello, everyone. My name is Rich Fitzgerald, and welcome to Men of Principle Podcast. This is episode 5. Today, I am with an incredible guest. His name is Nick Krantz, and before I introduce you to him, I'd like to give you a quick bio on him. His name is, again, Nick Krantz. He's a husband, dude dad to 3 boys, nutrition optimization coach, 2-time traumatic brain injury survivor, and 18-time concussion champ. He ran an online training and nutrition coaching business until his second TBI in December 2019 and was forced to fight to heal and try and continue his coaching business. Now he's made incredible progress and has returned to performance coaching in full force and building his foundation to spread awareness to athletes about second impact syndrome. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Krantz.
Rich, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And I'm glad to be here, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man. I really do appreciate it. Cool. So obviously I just gave a short bio on you, but what led you to become a nutrition and brain performance coach?
Yeah, I mean, so really kind of when my body started to change, kind of just got introduced to playing sports in high school. I mean, I was a skateboarder my whole life. I was just a little scrawny kid. It was actually my outlet. I didn't do any sports. My home was kind of like an undercover, sneaky alcoholic home, and just kind of was under the rug. And so, subconsciously, I was just kind of out skateboarding. Got talked into playing basketball. So I played basketball, cut my hair. Then, lo and behold, get talked into playing football and kind of learned what training was and kind of learned what eating was. And I gained 65 pounds and I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. And so then, kind of led me to playing college football and, same thing, you just keep adding weight. And I'm like, okay. But at the time I was a dad, I was a high school dad. So I ended up going to a school real local, and I didn't think about what school was. I just wanted to play football forever. And so I majored in criminal justice and psychology and minored in Spanish. And, when it came time that, my career ended because of my first traumatic brain injury, I was like, man, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And so I ended up getting a job at a juvenile jail, and it was a great time. I loved pretty much a mentorship role, but also rolling around and wrestling with some kids when they're getting out of line. But realized that there was more for me, and I loved personal training, so I did that. But then I had just a special interest in nutrition, because same thing, just knowing just what nutrition can do, how it could change the body, how it could change the mind, the mood, and really just everything I've learned up to this point. But I just really wanted to help pretty much give back. And after I got my certification, I had no idea. I was like, oh, okay. Do I get clients now? Like, how does this work? Basically you just get all this information off the book. But fast forward now, it's like, really learn how to just really help optimize and take somebody to the next level, just all through what it is that they're putting in their mouth and their mind and their body.
That's awesome. So as you know, I'm a military veteran. I didn't play football, but one thing I think a lot of football players and military service members have in common, unfortunately, is TBI, concussions. What's some advice that you would be able to give to service members, football players, or any alpha male in general who's went through and had a TBI or concussion? What advice would you give to them to help with their mental health?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when your brain is sick, you are sick, and it's hard to see, because not every time you can see it. It's not like it's not your arm where you have a sling on. It's not your finger that needs to get looked at. It's underneath, and it's invisible. And same thing with when you're struggling with your mental health, it's invisible. And so especially for men and the alphas that are bred to be the protectors and have that mentality, it's a lot of time that you're like, well, I can't be weak. I can't be perceived as weak from anybody else, because I am the protector. I'm the leader. And why would I ever seek help? And who would I go seek help? But at the same time, having that tight niche of like brotherhood with military and sports, it's like, that gives you an opportunity to reach out to those that you have gone to that, it's not just, surface level. You are deep into like, just connection with others. And if, with maybe one or two or a lot. And so, it's, for me, coming from like a bro mentality of like being around the guys, like, yeah, it's not easy to, reach out and ask for help. But there's a reason why men are way more likely to commit suicide, because of they're just, stronger, more violent. They are not afraid to do it. And we usually go the next step. But somebody who has been in now like whatever talk therapy with a counselor for the last 4 years, it's like I wouldn't view it any other way. Like, it's not some woo-woo. It's not talking to some stranger. It's an opportunity to talk to some bias and kind of open up about anything that might have happened throughout your life. And it's not just something weird. Like back in the day, it was me sitting down with some lady when I got forced to go because my family was, a wreck, that, sat down with the notepad, and it was the stereotypical thing. And I was like, why would I ever go back to this? And I didn't until, I think after my dad passed, I kind of was like, I think I just kind of want to talk. I don't know. Like, we have all these jars that we bottle up, and, sometimes it comes to a point in your life where, for me, it was I had another serious head injury. Maybe it's, all of a sudden your marriage falls apart. Maybe you totally just hit quote unquote rock bottom, and all your jars spill out, and now you have no coping skills. You don't know what to do. And, because when you bottle up, all that stuff spews out until your physiology. And next thing you know, you start getting sick. And it's not just sick, it's stress sick. But, nobody is ever too weak to reach out, because I think we've gotten to a point in this world where it's becoming a lot easier to talk about the F word, which is our feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of my questions was, after you had your first TBI, how long did it take you to realize that you needed some help? Like, how long did it take you to go reach out to someone?
Well, after I had my first TBI, which was 2010, I didn't think of it as anything but, wow, my life is very, very slow. I just need to get back to playing football. And I just needed to literally just get back on the field. That was the only thing I thought at the time. And I had a 2-year-old, but still, like, it wasn't talked about as much then. We were still cheating the concussion tests in the training room. But, mine became severe, so I had to go outsource, and I had a hard time cheating on these tests. That it was this specialist doctor, and I was just getting rocked, because at the end of the day, my brain was sick, and it just I was not doing well.
Yeah.
But my only goal in mind was to get back, because at that time, when you're a man, you're like, oh, I just want to get back. I need support. I need to find a way to just get out of this hole that I'm in, and just be basically successful for my family. And definitely at that time, I think it was just the mentors I had in my life with the coaches, like, being like the ones that were trying to still push me, like, yeah, I was in it, but some that were like trying to be real, like, dude, you are one hit away from maybe not being a serviceable father again. Wow. I think that kind of drew me in, and it took time to kind of think about it. And then actually my last concussion that kind of took me out before I even started to play spring ball, because it was going to my senior year, I tackled a kid at the juvenile jail into a wall, and I hit my head on a cement wall, because you're used to tackling 200-pound kids, and all of a sudden this, I not thinking about it at the time, like a 140-pound kid is running down the hallway. I'm like, oh, okay. So it basically just like, boom, 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 and I just cut him off, and I just go and scoop him, just literally form tackle, but I just take him into the cement wall, and that was it. And so it's probably better that it happened there rather than on the football field, because at that point, I was reckless. I played with aggression. That's kind of where my outlet was, and I wasn't always mindful in the time of hitting. I was more of a headhunter. I played safety, so as I look at my 14-year-old now, you kind of tell him, like, this could happen. But the game is a lot smoother, a lot more slowed down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it took me until 9 years later to really reach out to quote unquote professional help, and like just start to just like, where do I start?
Yeah. Wow, man. It sounds like you can always get like a second career as like the next Terry Tate office linebacker.
Dude, man, those
just
commercials.
Clock some people in the office sometimes.
We would watch those during football camp in college. I don't know, I forgot why, but we would watch those, and that just brought up some good memories, dude. Just laughing, hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. So obviously you've alluded to your family a little bit already. You're a family man. You have children. You have, a business to take care of. You have a lot of external stressors. How do you achieve balance? How do you stay healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually?
For me, I think a lot of times, like, balance is BS. But I do believe that, if you can be selfish at unselfish times, then you can be selfless the rest of the day. So I think that's where, me waking up early gives me an opportunity to kind of tackle the first quarter, quote unquote. So I think if you can divide your day into quarters instead of being like, okay, I have, this huge list to do, and I need to get all of this done at some point. But I'm like, okay, well, if I wake up at 4:30 and my first quarter ends at 7 a.m. Okay, well now like I need to do more cognitive warranted tasks. Like, is it creative? Is it training? Is it, is it reading? What am I doing in the first part of the day? And then, second part of the day might be, 7 till noon, where it's just, kind of not more laid back, but just, is it just maintenance work? Is it with the kids? What is it around your schedule that day? Then, third quarter comes around, 12 to 4:30. Is it maintenance tasks again, like emails, messaging, kind of tying any loose ends? And then, at the fourth quarter start, 4 to, 9 p.m. or whatever, until you go to bed, it's like, okay, tie the loose knots, spend time with your family, dinner, really just being present in the moment. And then at the end of the day, you get to kind of tie up your loose knots. So it really takes that pressure off to be like, okay, well, I don't have to be a failure because I didn't work out. I didn't do any type of meditation. I didn't do this. Like if you could break it down into that, then all of a sudden it's like, well, I can achieve almost that balance. But I think there's going to be certain times in your life where you might be more of a, more into one area of your life while another one suffers. And that happens. But that also comes with the awareness of like, dang, where do I need to pick up the slack? Does I need to be more present? Do I need to be a better husband? And do I need to be a better father? Like, I think awareness always precedes, change, and change will, of your choice will then bring you freedom. But I think it really just comes down to awareness of your schedule, how you could break it down, and then how you could be realistic, because everybody wants to just throw the kitchen sink and then I'll be like, man, no, I can't do it all. Like I'm a failure, and basically just go back to, you thought you went one step and now you're 5 steps behind because you're just throwing in the towel on yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. You said one thing I want to go back to, and I'm going to steal this from now on. I think you said, if you can be selfish at unselfish times, you can be selfless the rest of the day. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like I've always liked getting up early. And I don't know if that just dates back to college when you kind of had to, right off the get go, you're like up and getting ready to train and compete. So I still like that, as you get older, like it's still life's competition, and, whether you like it or not, you're always competing for something. Is it, is it a client? Is it for making sure your wife doesn't stray? Is it, making sure like, you want to, beat your kid in something? Like everything is a competition. And whether people say, not everything's a competition, like, no, like, tell my oldest, like, somebody's going to go after this girl. Like somebody's going to be coming in for your position, this fall, like, on your math test, like there's always something to compete. It's not like, it's a win or lose. You win and learn. But I really think like when you can get time, whether you realize or not, you can create that time. You can turn off the TV earlier. You can go to bed earlier, and get up early when it's quiet. And that allows you to really compartmentalize your thoughts, your, decisions you need to make, maybe some thoughts that are kind of like gaining your attention, kind of try to dissect those, and then, get ready to tackle the day. And I think that's where you can really be selfish while nobody's working, while nobody sees you. And then that's kind of where like, the fine-tuned armor comes in as you start to really gain momentum doing that day in and day out.
Yeah. So you said it several times. So, and that it's one thing I actually want to talk about real quick. So I saw a post you made recently. I thought it was a few weeks ago. It was actually like back in October, but it was, you mentioned how important the beginning of the day was for many reasons. Why is like the first hour of the day, you could probably even break down to say the first 30 minutes, but why is like the first part of the day so critical in your opinion? And what advice would you give to people? Like what type of habits would you create in the beginning of the day?
Yeah. I mean, and when you wake up, that's your time to really recharge and really rewire who you are, because, when it comes down to who you are is stored in your subconscious mind, whether you know it or not. And that's 95% of who you are, how you think, act, react, respond is stored in your subconscious mind. And the 5% of your conscious, when you're thinking and you're seeing and you can visually see it, is only 5%. So when you wake up, if you don't check your phone, if you decide to just allow yourself to still be in that, quote unquote, sleepy state, you have a chance to begin to be able to rewire new neural networks and begin to actually change. And I know it sounds woo-woo, and I thought the same thing as I'm, recovering from my second TBI until I really started to see the science and behind it. And I'm like, okay, well, there were years ago where they were used to believe that your brain couldn't change, and who you are was just who you're always going to be. But by the time you're 35, it's almost your hardwired program is almost solidified until you decide that you want to change, and that becomes with repetition. And so as you wake up, you have that opportunity, but the way you can cancel that is by checking your phone, which then will lead to just a full-on distraction, which then pretty much leads to you kind of just running on autopilot. You roll over the bed at the same side, you get up, you slip to the bathroom, you go use the bathroom, go to the, brush your teeth, take a shower, everything just begins to kind of fall into place. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm just living the same life with the same experiences, with the same, emotions. And now all of a sudden I want something different, but I continue to do the same thing. So that gives you an opportunity to just, like I said before, like when you can be selfish at that time, now you can really change, but it always comes down to being aware of what you want. So if you really want to be healthier, well, then it's going to come with, okay, I need to get up, not check my phone. I need to set out my workout clothes at night off to the side, have, whatever, my pre-workout or anything that I just know that I need to get my butt in gear to go to the gym. And that just sets me up for success, instead of just allowing my body to say, okay, you're tired. No, just go back and lay to bed. It's okay. Just hit the snooze button. It's easier to do that because, your ego just wants to keep you safe. Your brain always wants to keep you safe, because if you start to change, now you're not doing the same thing you did yesterday. And so if there's anything scary to the brain, it's not the pain that you've already experienced, it's the unknown. And so when you vast into this dark abyss of the unknown, it doesn't want to go. It would rather stay in the same pain and just allow yourself to suffer, rather than knowing like this could be good. And so as you start to, that's kind of where like you get a chance to, meditate. And it's not like the woo woo. And I think when I talk to especially a lot of the newer male clients, I'm like, dude, just do a mindful minute. How many times have you ever sat down and it's been like, I'm just going to sit for 1 minute. I don't have to do any, I just need to sit down for 1 minute as I start the day. As those thoughts come, it doesn't mean you gravitate and just be like, oh, I'm thinking this, so this is true. Like, you have an opportunity to just watch these thought bubbles go around. And like I said before, you get to compartmentalize everything. Like, is this thought, like, do I really need to give this attention, or is this just a bunch of garbage? But like when you fall behind the 8 ball and you allow yourself to just roll downhill real fast, things just get going fast. And all of a sudden, like, the day just kind of your body takes over. You don't even give your mind a chance to even catch up. And I think that's where you really get a chance to take control and ownership of your life. And it's so simple. It's so, like strange. And like I said, I come from a bro-ish background of like the woo-woo, because I think of all the guys that, when I started to tell, like thinking of this and having to really just do this so I can heal in a way to get my life back. They'd be like, oh, dude, they have the I can't do that. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, like that's fine. But you give yourself an opportunity to really take control just by starting with 60 seconds. That's it.
Yeah, the mindful minute. That's an awesome piece of advice. It's funny because I was just telling my wife today, actually, I'm the type of man where I need both extremes. I need times to work out hard, and I need times of complete relaxation and silence.
Yeah.
And so whether that's sitting on my couch first thing in the morning with a cup of coffee and just thinking, just like having silence, whether that's going to the sauna maybe and sitting there quietly, or maybe going out for a walk with no distance or time in mind, just to think, just to clear my mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with that in mind, like getting up in the morning and having a routine, how important do you say hydration is as one of your key activities in the morning?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So when you give yourself an opportunity to drink water, I think a lot of people, when you wake up, you haven't drank anything throughout the night. So now you were dehydrated. So sometimes when people wake up, if they have a constant issue with dehydration, well, you're going to be like, well, I just have a headache. So I need to, it's either a caffeine headache, or I probably just need, some ibuprofen. So all of a sudden you're behind the game of just giving yourself an opportunity to literally like lubricate your brain, and give yourself a chance to kickstart your digestion, to flush the toxins, and to really kickstart your hydration for the day. And, it's just, especially even adding any salt or electrolytes to kickstart, because you'd be surprised. And I just even had one of my clients say, it's like, dude, I didn't realize my digestion was so off until I really started to almost double my, hydration. I was like, don't worry about, like, is it in my caffeine? Is it in my tea? Like, just drink water for 1 week. Yes, you might have to pee more, but your bladder is flexible. It will adjust. But when people realize, like, if you even go 2% hydration, so to speak, your brain will shrink until you rehydrate it. It's not like it's going to just disintegrate, but your brain shrinks. So then you feel that, that brain fog, you feel that, cognitive slowdown. Like you're just like, maybe I just need like some more caffeine in the middle of the day. Like, no, when's the last time you got up and allowed yourself to drink some water and rehydrate? It's at the end of the day, like it's the foundation. Everybody wants to put it in the in-ground pool. Everybody wants to put the basketball hoop up, have a hot tub, like, but nobody wants to build from the ground up because they realize like that's not the shiny object. There's no it's not cool. Like, no, dude, the basics are what build you. And so, like what I said, hydration, like 10 to 20 ounces to start the day, you'd be surprised how you would feel within an hour. That's why I said, like, you always do water before caffeine. Give yourself to really take time to, once again, get a head start on your hydration, because your caffeine is an adenosine blocker, and so if you allow yourself to clear that out, basically as you are, when you wake up, you will feel like 60 to 90 minutes later, you will feel a huge jolt of the caffeine rather than just taking it right away, because all of a sudden it's kind of just not being able to filter in. I think, and that's been a huge adjustment for my wife to be like, wow, if I say it, and it takes, a couple months to be like, oh, I'm feeling so much more energy. I don't know why. Like, oh,
or
yeah.
she says, hey, my girlfriend was telling me I should drink more water. So what do you think? You're like, I've been telling you that for years.
No, I saw this on Instagram. I can't remember where I saw it. Like, yeah, okay. But yeah, lo and behold, that it happens. But I said, it's just really getting down to the basics and the fundamentals. Like, literally, if we could all just drink more water, get more sun, move our bodies, eat healthier foods, and just be mindful. Like, you'd be surprised just how much you can change your life.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. For those who are watching, they may not know, but you and I think got connected because, just like you, I was a nutrition coach and fitness trainer. And I think you were one of the first people I found on social media when I started going down that route. And, having clients over the years, you and I have both, had people where they wanted us to motivate them. But you and I both know it's not so much a motivation factor. It's more discipline, right? Doing things even when you don't want to. Mm-hmm. So do you have any, I don't want to say tricks, but like, what have you done to help your clients get more disciplined in doing their day-to-day, dietary and fitness habits?
Yeah, it's all these conversations makes me think of this one, my newest client. But, because I say, like, what gets measured gets managed. You have an opportunity to now see data. You have an opportunity to now see how much food you're eating, how much water you're drinking. And then as you take time to really see it all play out, all of a sudden you have that light bulb moment of like, oh my gosh, like I was eating, that much. All of a sudden I drink more water. This happens. But, at the end of the day, I said, building the habits are everything. It's not like, okay, well, how much weight do you think I should lose within this, first week? How much weight should I lose by the end of the month? Like, what happens if we just said, let's drink, let's drink a gallon a day. You work out your 3 times a week. You do your mindful minute every single day. You hit 8,000 to 10,000 steps. And then you come back and talk, like, and sleep, 7 to 9 hours, and then we come back and see, like, forget the weight. That's just a tool. That just gives you an opportunity to, measure data. That's all it is. And let me know how you feel, how you sleep, how's your energy, how's your libido, because you can't put a price tag on how you feel. I mean, until your health is gone, like, you'd be like, wow, I really, that's the only thing I want back. But I think it's really just instilling those habits because, if they come to you and they want help, it's almost like their back's against the wall and they're like, I need to change. I know I need to change. And I think that's where a lot of the conversation I'm now, that they're just like at the end of the road and they're willing to do anything. But as motivation is BS. It's very fleeting. Motivation will not wait for you. You can sit around all day and wait to be motivated to go do something. But the more that you just move your body against your will, against the the ego trying to keep you calm and or basically keep you in bed and nice and tucked in, like, you'd be surprised what happens when you start to move your body. You start to feel better, start to think better, start to just live better. But it just comes down to being able to just take action against your own will, and just in deciding what it is you want. And every day, just knowing that, like, if I want to get healthier, well, then I have to do these 3 tasks. That's all I got to do. Okay. I need to make sure, drink my water. I have a workout today, and I'm going to be walking, during my meeting, and I'm going to be walking in the morning and at night. Boom. And the more that you can stack wins and keep those wins small, and not put a whole huge plate and thinking that you need to do this all, like, the more that you can stack the small wins is what ultimately will compound over time. And then that just brings you more enjoyment, brings you more, self-confidence. And then next thing you know, like, wow, I'm seeing results. And this Nick guy wasn't just some crazy butthead.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I love the fact, I mean, obviously I follow you a lot on social media. I love the fact that you always talk about how motivation is fickle and it's not something you can trust. And it's funny because if motivation worked, motivational speakers wouldn't be around, right? Because they would only get a one-time customer. That would be it. But they keep making money because the same people keep coming back to see them. It's like, well, if you learn the first time, you'd have discipline, and then you just keep doing it. You wouldn't have to keep going back and getting this motivational hype stuff,
Yeah. And well, it's the same thing with, like, I think just some of the nutrition coaches I've seen over the years, like, they needed a new mastermind. They needed a new mentor. They needed another course. They needed another certification. Like, look, I'm not against, having everything. I believe every coach needs a coach. Every mentor needs a mentor. But if you're jumping ship, always looking for, like, the next trick or the next trick of the trade, and this little piece of information that you need, like, literally you can Google whatever you want. I guarantee if you go down a long enough rabbit hole, you will figure out, how to acquire, this bit of knowledge for business or nutrition, whatever. It's there. I promise you. We live in a day and age where you can just look in it. You don't need an encyclopedia, a dictionary, or anything. Yeah. But it comes down to taking action. I think those that, even if they have say a grade 70 mentor, but they take messy action every single day, all of a sudden their results are going to be through the roof. And that's just because they're taking action. That's all it is. You're not missing out on anything. There might be some information that you just need answered and some guidance, but it's coming down to taking action and being like, okay, I'll figure it out later.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, as you know, like our podcast, right, it's called The Men of Principle. And with that in mind, what's one principle, value, or character trait you would like men in our society to improve upon if you could?
I think even something that I know that I had definitely struggled with in the past until I, really took a good look in my mirror and been like, yo, it's time for you to just take total ownership of everything that you do. I think wherever you sit listening and wherever you sit in your own life, you are the result of everything that you've done. Yes, there are some things that come along your way that might be challenging, and that, you could even label as like, oh, this is why I'm this way. That's great. But all that is an excuse. Every chance that you have in every valley, because there's peaks and valleys in life, but every valley, if you give notion that it is the reason that you are in a place, then you will ultimately be at that place for as long as you want. And I think taking total ownership of yourself, and especially if you have others that you have to, protect and provide, it makes everything a lot more, it just makes things a lot more easier in a sense of saying, like, yes, it might not have gone that way, but it gives me an opportunity to learn, and it gives me an opportunity to say, like, yeah, it's my fault that, XYZ didn't get done. And it's like, especially, my 14-year-old, you give an opportunity to really just be a sponge and see. I mean, yes, the 4 and 2-year-old, they're sponge in their own way. But, becoming a young man, you have an opportunity to really help and show him the way. So I feel like it just, in being a young dad in general, it just gives me an opportunity to show him the ropes. But I see a lot of times it just, people saying, my kids are the reason I can't get healthy. It's my wife's the one I'm so stressed about. This, that, and the other thing. It's like, okay, well, what can we do? Like, what is stopping you? Like I said, if you can blame your kids, well, you can also get healthy for them. Like, it's not like you have to wait until you finally get to a point of, like, it's now or never. I'm like almost on my deathbed. Like, you would rather be the, oldest person at the gym rather than the youngest person in a nursing home. That's your opportunity to be like, man, I need to take total ownership of my life, my health, my family, my finances. Like, and then next thing you know, things will fall into place. And once you stop playing the blame game. As you know, in this day and age, it's not easy to take total ownership because you see it everywhere from the quote unquote leaders. And there's a lot of there's a lot of weak leaders and there's a few elite leaders. And those are the ones you can learn from. I mean, you don't need to be buddy with them. You could go on YouTube and watch them all day. And I think I forgot who it was. Somebody said like their mentors growing up was just people they read books. Dale Carnegie and all the other people that they looked up to. Like, you don't need to directly know them. In this day and age, you could reach out, but like you have an opportunity to learn from so many. But I get sick and tired of people just shooing off the blame and not living up when you damn well know it's you.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, you are the one that gets to lay down and hear your own inner voice. And if it is, you like to lie to yourself, and at one point it will come in and it'll crush you, and that's fine. Like, that's how you want to live. That's fine. But at the end of the day, like, if you're a man of integrity, then you have an opportunity to be like, I did everything I could today. I feel good. I learned from this mistake, but tomorrow I'm gonna come back stronger. I think that's where it kind of, you draw the line in the sand, and you get a choice to pick if you want to go left or right.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Total ownership. I completely agree with you. My last guest said communication. I agree with that too. That's something I think, man, we definitely can improve upon. But man, taking total ownership, that's a huge one. I'm sure in everything that we want to improve in our life, that's probably the first step. Saying I am at where I'm at because I chose to be here, as a culmination of all the decisions I've made, right? Absolutely. But the good news is, if you're in a bad spot, you can now change your decision-making process and change the direction that you're going, right? Man, that's an incredible answer. And I love on your Instagram, you actually say that you help high-performing dads become physically fit and mentally unstoppable. I think, man, that's such the reason I had you on the top of my list of guys I wanted to interview is because I think you and I were joking about actually the other day. If you want advice on how to manage your time, talk to a dad. Talk to a dad with kids. Don't talk to a single guy with nothing going on, right? And it's no offense to them. Like, they're going to learn, they're going to grow. But man, like you said, if you have clients who are saying, well, I don't have enough time, my kids get up at this time, whatever. I was just telling you before we started the podcast, my youngest son is on a bus at 6:45, which means I'm either doing jujitsu or I'm lifting weights at 5:30 every morning to make sure that I'm here to get him on the bus. A lot of dads out there would say, well, my kid goes to bed, goes to school early. So, I can't get up at 4:30. Well, you can, you just choose not to.
Yeah. I say that's the biggest thing. Like, okay, well, if you say you can't, just replace that with choose not to. And so if you do that for 24 hours, you'll be like, wow, like, there's obviously, like, I choose not to fly. Like, yeah, okay. Like, I don't want you jumping out the window, but if you say like, oh no, I can't work out today because I have to take my kid to practice. Okay, like, no, you just say I choose not to. That's all. And I do know, there are a lot of dads that will compare themselves to their favorite influencer that, has 2 girlfriends, that works out for 3 hours a day, that shoots up a little gear, and like, dude, like, let me reel you in. Like, you have a wife with 2 kids, a full-time job. You're running your own business. Like, think about your life and stressors. Like, don't compare yourself to this dude. Like it's just, people get so caught up in that, and it's crazy when you're be able to pull yourself out. Like, do you not remember? Like, this is the internet. This is the internet, man. Anything can look so good to be true. Like, why not you? Like, dude, you're not a pro CrossFitter. You're just, like, no offense, like, you're an ex-athlete, but like, you're not training, 3 hours a day, having your meals prepped for you. Like, let's be real here. And I think just, so literally just reeling people back to reality. But then also being like, yo, it's time to take ownership of yourself. You can create your time if you want. Otherwise, you're just choosing not to.
Absolutely, man. It's so cool because, talking about social media, as you know, there's a lot of negatives, a lot of things that can definitely take you down rabbit holes you shouldn't go down. But there is potential for positive things, right? Like, actually, it's so cool. My wife said this tonight. I can't even believe she said it, and she'll probably smile when I tell you this. But she said tonight, she goes, "Man, you talking with Nick, and you guys being eye to eye on so many things gives me hope that you can use social media for good." And I thought, man, how cool was that, right? Like, yeah, there's a lot of corny, stupid BS stuff out there on social media that you and I both know. Like, man, that's completely fake. That's not real, or that's just terrible advice. But when 2 people who have similar, not the same, no one's the same, but, like-minded, who are both trying to improve themselves in everyday life, man, when they get together and they could share ideas, that's a beautiful thing,
Yeah. And that's the thing. That is the power of the internet in the positive way. And I think there is a lot of people doing this as well, like being able to just connect. Like you don't have to, you could literally dial up a link and you could connect from anywhere on the planet. And that's how awesome the power of the internet is if you use it properly. Yes, there's a lot of BS that will get shoved down your throat and you don't even ask for it. But that's up to you to kind of to shift gears and like exit out and really just go after. If you follow more things that provide, positivity and bring you joy, and it's not just a bunch of comparison nonsense and negativity and following other, like shooting account, like, you have a chance to really give yourself a platform that brings you positivity, good messages. Like it's crazy what you do if you start to unfollow people on social media and in real life, what it can do for your life.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, we've had a lot of great conversations today, and I would love to talk to you more, but I know our time's kind of wrapping up. But I do want to finish with a quick game, if you don't mind. It's actually a game called Pick One, okay? So I asked you item X or item Y, and without hesitation, you gotta pick it, okay? You can't tell me, well, I don't like, nope, just no explanation. You just got to pick it, even if I'm sure a couple in here are going to disagree with completely, but that's okay. So since we talked about dietary stuff, we'll keep it on that topic, okay? So you ready to go?
Yeah, let's go, man.
All right. Bacon or sausage?
Bacon.
Apple or orange?
Apple.
Beer or soda?
I don't know what soda is. I don't drink beer, so I'm confused.
Pop or beer?
I drink neither.
Ketchup or mustard?
Mustard.
Carnivore or vegan?
Not even a question. Carnivore.
Hot sauce or soy sauce?
Hot sauce.
Lettuce or spinach?
Lettuce.
Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee.
Purified water or spring water?
Purified water.
Cookies or brownies?
Cookies.
Sushi or sashimi?
Sushi.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
All right, these next three about steaks. Grilled or broiled?
Grilled.
Ribeye or prime rib?
Ribeye.
Salt and pepper or A1 sauce?
A1. Medium rare.
Okay, come on now. I had you. Like I was with you until you said the A1 sauce.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I really haven't been having A1 a lot since like my dietary restrictions. So just I can still taste it. But yeah, so technically if I have to, it would definitely be salt and pepper.
I got you. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, so if it's a good steak for me, it's just salt and pepper. Yeah. But if it's something that's like a cruddy cut, like I don't even want to say sirloin, but like my mom, when I was a kid, I didn't grow up I didn't have a whole lot of money. A lot of cube steak was like our opinion of steak, was like our thing of steak, right?
Yeah.
I didn't get the good stuff. I got cube steak. A1 sauce you put on that because it was
you needed it.
Yeah, you need it for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because like it took me a while to really taste a good steak where I'm like, dude, I don't need anything. I just need what it was cooked in. I need some salt and pepper and just eat it. And it's like, wow, like that's real steak? Like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah, exactly. Cool, man. Well, hey, Nick, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your night to do this with me. I've been meaning to talk to you for a long time and get you on here, so I really appreciate you doing this for us. So for those of the listeners on here, if they want to find you on social media, where would they be able to find you at?
Definitely most active on Instagram, and that's at NeuroFitNick, NeuroFitNick. Yeah, I'm always there, always open to messages, and like I said, always down to connect. And definitely, I said, like, it kind of gets back to like the mental health. Like, I think people realize like the power of social media. Like, you can reach out to somebody and have a conversation that you just met, and all of a sudden be like best friends. We've been connected for like over like 4 or 5 years now. It seems
4 or 5
like
years, yeah.
And that's like, it's crazy. And so I definitely appreciate you bringing me on. And like I said, like it's always good to chat. Always good to chat and connect. Doesn't even have to be on a podcast. You can always connect anyway, any time of the day. But yeah, dude, thanks again. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. And for those of you listening, I'll be sure to go ahead and add Nick's name on where you can follow him on Instagram. I'll put that in the caption below the video. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you again, Nick, for joining us. And be a man of principle. Have a great week, guys. Thanks, Nick.
Yes, sir.